So I had a couple of games recently with my brother David. He's my elder brother, 10 years older than me. He's a retired golf pro, taught me to play when I was a kid, very much my inspiration growing up. And we played a couple of courses in Shropshire. We played Bridgnorth, not far from the Welsh border. And it's the club where he got his first club pro job many years ago in the 70s. And then we played Enville, which is a very prestigious golf course about half an hour away from Bridgnorth. And I played rubbish. Really hideous. It was one of those days when your arms seem disconnected to your body, there's no timing, there's no rhythm. And I think on the front nine at Bridgnorth, I did about, I must have done maybe 12 Stableford points, because he very generously gave me a handicap of 4, and I mean generously that it was lower than it should have been. It probably should have been about 14. But it was really bad, and it was a bit of a knock to my confidence. And I remember at one point on the, I think it was a par 5 hole early in the back nine at Bridgnorth, I mean, I hit probably the worst drive I've hit for, well, a long time. It was hideous. It shouldn't be shown to children or people of a delicate disposition. It's so look away now if you don't want to watch it. But I think my timing was just really bad, and I managed to sort something out in my swing on the back nine, so it wasn't too bad on the back nine. But I wasn't satisfied with my ball striking. It was just not anything like the way I like to strike the ball or expect to strike the ball. A lot of thin shots, a lot of last minute recovery with the hands, very handsy, knowing that the club's in the wrong position coming into impact. And it was just a very dissatisfying experience from start to finish. So playing badly in front of your brother isn't maybe that bad because he's seen it all before. So on the second day at Enville, we were due to play with a couple of members, I think decent players by all accounts. So I didn't want to embarrass myself. I wanted to make give a decent account of myself. But unfortunately, the swing demons were still in my body. I hadn't really sorted out the core issue that I had with my swing at the time. And again, I played rubbish, particularly on the back nine, a similar number of points, I think maybe 11, 12 points on the front nine. Stableford, again, off a 4 handicap, should have been more. It was just embarrassing. It was really a knock to my confidence. And again, like the day before, I sort of figured something out in my swing. I played a little bit better on the back nine. But I can't, for some reason, hit the ball anywhere like I do on the practice range when I'm more in control of my swing. I can get a nice strike on the ball, I can hit a nice divot and sort of hit the ball purely, particularly with an iron club. But somehow on the golf course, that's kind of summed up by this shot on a par 3 hole, midway on the back nine. It was very low on the club face, it was thin. I kind of knew instinctively coming into the ball that the club face was in an open position. So again, I've got the flippy hands recovering, very dissatisfying strike. And the ball flew dead straight about 20 feet beyond the hole. So again, the result was okay, but the striking of the ball, very disappointing. So I think over the years, as I've got older, I've learned to deal with this sort of disappointing experience on the golf course during the round itself. I don't lose my temper, I don't go all sulky. I tend to maybe engage with my playing partners a bit more and take an interest in their game, look at the scenery, admire nature. So I think that's my way of handling it, but at the same time I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong with my swing and correct it. Often in the middle of the round, which of course is not the best time to do it because you really want to be doing that on the practice range, where I am now. But one of the people that we played with at Enville, a very interesting character, a guy called Mike. He's a retired pro, like my brother, retired professional, and he had a job in a very prestigious club in the Channel Islands, taught some really interesting characters, and he's quite a quiet guy. He's very thoughtful. We got on really well, and he gave me some really good advice and some insights during the round. And he mentioned a guy called Fred Shoemaker, who's a golf pro. I think he's based in California, who's developed this concept. He calls it extraordinary golf, but it's very much about a coaching style that's non-directive. You know, you don't tell people what to do, where to put their arms in the swing and all the physical positions that typically we would teach people. But it's more a case of asking questions, you know, like, do you enjoy putting? He would ask of a student, and when they putt in a particular way, you know, how did you feel when you hit that? It's a very sort of question-based, non-directive approach. And it reminds me a little bit of some of the things that in my profession, because I used to teach golf for a living for, you know, for beginners in the corporate world, but I help people with presenting and communication skills these days. But it's very easy, I think, as a coach and a trainer to allow your ego to assume that you need to be telling people what to do all the time and dispensing wisdom, because I think it makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you feel you're more complete, you're cleverer, and you have value to people. But this approach that Shoemaker advocates is very different. It's very much about removing the ego from that process and getting people to find their own way forward through the questioning of the student. So I thought Mike was a really interesting chap, and we had an extended conversation afterwards as well. So there was something valuable that came out of the experience of even playing badly. But I suppose at least I managed to sort something out on the second 9 and played probably about 17 Stableford points in the second half of the round, which was something, I guess. And you know, playing that badly is a very chastening experience, because we all have a view of ourselves. We think we're a particular type of person, we think we're a particular level of golfer, and then when something happens to sort of disprove or question that concept of ourselves, it's quite unsettling in a way. And when I hit the ball like I did the other day, I think to myself, well, why bother? You know, what is the point of playing like that? And it struck me, I mean, David, my brother, tried to give me some encouragement on the way home, and he said, well, look, you've still got to keep trying during the round, you mustn't give up. You've got to try and, you know, grind out a score and still get the ball in the hole, because the game of golf is about scoring. But, you know, for me, in a funny kind of way, I don't think I'm competitive like my brother is. I think my competition, my quest in my mind, is just to strike the ball properly. It's almost like I'm trying to create a piece of artwork, and it's got to feel just right. And you know, when you middle a golf shot or a tennis shot or a cricket shot, maybe it gives you a bit of a dopamine rush. It's kind of nice. There's a lovely feeling, isn't it? And you want more of that feeling. So for me, it's very much about, you know, aspiring to a level of ball striking which I think is acceptable. That's almost my primary quest. And then I guess in many respects, I'm assuming that the score will follow if I get that right. That's the secondary outcome in a way. But anyway, my mind is probably in a bit of a mush at the moment out of all of this. It did make me question, you know, this quest that I'm on to play as well or better than I did when I was 16 and when I got down to 2, because I was more like 12 the other day, 12 handicap at best. But I had a really nice text from Mike, the ex-pro, after the round. And if I sum up what he said, it was basically that he felt that my best shots certainly indicated that I could play to scratch in his view, but I need to get more control of the club, which then will give me more control of the ball, and then the scores and the success on the golf course will come as a consequence. So I was very heartened by that, so I'm not going to give up. And I've got 2 rounds of golf coming up quite soon on very straightforward golf courses, not Royal Liverpool and Royal Lytham. So that will be a really tough test of you know, whatever technique I choose to employ, or certainly a test of my mindset, which is probably a little bit weak at the moment. But I'll tell you one thing that I think was wrong with that hideous drive that I hit at Bridgnorth. I think that basically what happened is, in an attempt to get a later hit into the ball, we talk a lot about the late hit that pros get. They get in this position and then the club is released late rather than here, like a lot of amateurs do. I think in an attempt to get that late release, I'm leaving my arms behind. My body is trying to get through, but my arms are back here. So they're not my hands aren't in front of my chest, so it's an uncoordinated swing. So what I've been working on since those hideous rounds of golf that I played earlier this week is to try and make sure that my arms get through a little bit sooner, not rushing the start of the downswing, but just getting them through quicker or sooner in the sequence, so that they actually are more in front of my chest rather than back here trying to catch up, because that's when I get into this stuck position and I have to do that to recover. That's my theory. So we'll see if it works at Lytham and at Hoylake. Not the easiest of places to test drive something new. So anyway, that's what I'm working on at the moment. I'll see if I can show you, with a few pitching wedge shots, what I'm trying to do here. So let's give this a go. That was really nice. That was really nice. So nice, in fact, that I've hit it into the trees because it went so far. So if I can hit it like that when I go around Lytham and Hoylake, I'll be a happy man. So we'll see how I get on.